G'day guys, welcome back to Supercoach Swordplay and welcome to, I was going to say my round one review, but it's pretty much my round one nightmare. There are times as a content creator where you just don't want to rock up, you want to bury your head in the sand, but you do make a commitment to rock up each and every week. And this is one of those weeks for me where I'm a little bit embarrassed sitting here with a season rank of 73,096. I suppose it could be worse. It could be 74,000. So look on the bright side. And the advice I tend to give to people when they have a bad start to the season is that this is a marathon, not a sprint. But even I'm finding it difficult to take on my own advice. It is super, super frustrating. But it's been a big couple of months. And it really goes to show that when you're seriously playing this game, you need to be on top of everything. You need to hear all the news, all the laid outs, all the changes. And unfortunately, on the Saturday, it was just a complete write-off. I had some family stuff going on and literally did not watch a minute of the footy, no news. It just wasn't my priority at the time. And then on the Sunday, I was pretty buggered from the Saturday before, watched half of one of the games, then had full intentions of watching the West Coast Gold Coast game, but I fell asleep at halftime on the couch. So I did manage to wake up very early this morning and watch the Brisbane Sydney game. So very happy with the result there. That was an epic win by the boys, particularly given the circumstances. So wrapped with my boys, apart from Lockie Neal. Lockie, you can go and get stuffed, mate. I do love you, Lockie, but come on, mate. Score in the 40s? You're killing me, Lockie. You're killing me. But 20,030. Usually this would absolutely destroy my weekend. I'd just be thinking about it then probably up until the Wednesday. I'm still pretty dirty on myself. And then you think, okay, new week, here we go. Lock in some trades and all the rest. But I suppose everything that's been going on, I suppose a small positive to it is that when you have a bad week or a bad start in Supercoach, it's certainly not the end of the world. You do realise and your priorities change and you do realise it's just a game at the end of the day. But it's a game that I love, a game that I put so much time, effort, and research into. And to start like this, as I said, extremely disappointing. But I think if I make some swift early changes, and I'm going to have to be aggressive, then I could get back within the top 20% pack and then try to trade my way into a half decent rank. But I think when you start this far back, it's very, very hard to give the number one title a crack. And I'm a little bit worried that with where I sit at the moment, there's so many people that are so much further in front of me. It's ridiculous that it's going to be difficult, but it is a very long season and I don't wish injury on anyone. But my real hope at this stage is that some of those real highly owned players that I don't have maybe do themselves a little bit of a niggle. That's pretty much all I've got up my sleeve at the moment. But 20,030, a rank outside 73,000. Surely it can only go up from here. That's what I'm hoping anyway. So we'll quickly go through the side, talk about some potential trades, and then maybe discuss some captains at the end. But please, Supercoach gods, look after me coming into round two because round one was an absolute disaster. All right, so here is the team in all its glory, or lack of glory, as you may say. Where do I start? Well, okay, the thing I'm dirtiest on the most, it's not the Lockie Neal 41. It's not even the Sam Powell-Pepper 18 on field. The thing I am dirty on the most is the fact that I didn't hear about the Levi news. I didn't hear that my boy was not going to be the sub. It was all but confirmed. Tom Morris, I thought it was confirmed from the club. And then Charlie's obviously laid out. And then Levi is elevated into the 22. And don't get me wrong, I'm absolutely wrapped for the young man. I've always been really against debutants starting as a sub. So I'm wrapped for him, wrapped for the club that he started and put in a fantastic performance. But I'm that gutted. It is not funny. That is the thing I'm most disappointed on. And I'm sitting there with Finn O'Sullivan in my side, who had not entered my side all season. It was only when the Ashcroft news came through, I thought, look, I need to jump on another rookie here. 50% of the comp have this bloke. He's probably the one I need to go up to. And I only had, about 7K in the bank at the time. So I actually had to move some pieces to get Finn O'Sullivan in over Levi Ashcroft. And I am, as you can tell, extremely dirty about that. So I really want to get my boy in. I can't believe I missed it, but it is what it is. You look at some of the rookie scores here. 45 from Reed on field. Then you got O'Connell, 28, who's another one I had to go to in order to get Finn O'Sullivan. I had to go down. He gets a 28. You've got Trainer with a 50. I was actually pretty impressed with Trainer, so I'm not too disappointed about that. Camperelli, 56. I think efficiency let him down, but all good. Hewitt with a 52. Sardis with a 50. Really dirty on this. I did actually watch this game and less than impressed, but how much do you blame Sardis? How much do you blame Scott for his tog? I'm just not too sure, but really disappointing there. You've got Finn O'Sullivan with a 51. You've got Stone on the bench in the forward with a 42. Davidson with a 39. Pau Pepper with an 18. Really disappointed about this pick. Hugo Garcia with a 54. So it's just terrible. It's absolutely terrible. The other rookies we've got O'Driscoll. So Noddy really wrapped with that, a 91. Thank you very, very much, mate. We've got Nevitt with an 82. I was a little bit worried about this selection and actually moved him off field because given the fact that, Geelong are a little bit funny with their selections and laid-outs and all the rest, saw his name right at the end there and thought, you know what? Oh, he's going to be subbed out, isn't he? I'm going to have him on field. He's going to be subbed out, but that wasn't the case, and I was really wrapped about that. And he got an 82, so I don't think he gets subbed because one thing I looked at was the fact that he had a lot of defensive pressure acts, so I think that's going to put him in pretty good stead, so happy with that. Then you've got, that's pretty much it for the rookies, isn't it? You've got Kako with a 62. He played pretty well. That's a decent score, particularly for someone with his role. And I think that's pretty much it for the rookies. So the issue for me this week when I'm making trades at the moment is that I really don't know a lot of context behind particular scores. I got no idea what happened in the Port Adelaide game. So why did Pau Pepper get 18? I don't know if it was roll form. I've got no idea. So I'm going to have to catch up on a lot of news, and potentially the trades that you see me make today may be different when news comes through and I get a bit of a better idea about why players scored how they did. So let's go from the back line then. So we've got Harry Shears with a 106. That's all good. He's one of those pillars that I really wanted to lock back there. And look, 106 isn't the score we're looking for, but he'll be nice and solid. And I doubt whether he'll go below 100 at all this year. So happy with Sheasel. That's all good. Zorko with a 139. Watched Magician today, and funnily enough, he did a lot of his damage late when he was moved up forward. I hope this is not going to be a permanent move. I don't think it will be. I think he'll slot down back, but you've got Cameron with issues. Loman's out now. McCarthy has done his knee again. So who fills the void? Could it be Dane Zorko and they maybe put Connor McKenna back? I hope not. I hope it's going to be the other way around. But that is the only slight concern there. We know his age. There was risk attached with that, and there always will be with the pick. But the run I just couldn't deny. And the fact that he scored a 139 against Sydney to start off with, that's such a huge bonus. So I thought, look, 90 plus, and I'll be pretty happy just to start off with. And then he'll get his nice run. But to start off like that, yep, super happy. Short with an 83. So I did watch this game as well. Really loved his first half. I tweeted that he was a green tick at that point. And then you look at his score by the end of the game and you think, what on earth happened here? I think part of it was the fact that the ball simply wasn't down in Richmond's backline like we'd assume that it would be and like it was in the first half. And I think they might have put a little bit more attention on him. Was it Cottrell that may have been doing a slight role, not a complete lockdown role, but they were certainly paying a bit more attention to him, and he didn't have the freedom that we saw the week before, and particularly in that first half as well. So I'm not as concerned with the Jaden Short pick as other people may be. If he pumps out another 80 this week, however, then I'm pretty concerned. But I'll definitely give Shorty another week, that's for sure. Roberts with a 95. This would have been a ton, I'm guessing, but very bad clanger. Yeah, a bit of a brain fade there from Roberts. So if you take that out, then I'm sure he reaches triple figures. So again, I'm not really concerned with Roberts. Perryman with a 62. Now, again, I need context. I've read a little bit that he played a bit of a defensive role, even a tagging role. Other people have said, nah, it wasn't really a hard tag. So I really need to see this for myself. But 62 is certainly a concern. The week before, he scored that mid-90s, and we thought, look, still got that midfield CBA role. That defensively minded mid, they really need someone like that in there. But I just really don't know what happened here. So was it a complete change of role? Are we expecting this is going to be a permanent thing? I'm not too sure, but certainly someone that may potentially be on the chopping block. Then you've got Reed with a 45. Yeah, he wasn't up to the pace of the game. It was like he was loping and had no awareness around him. It's like every time he got the ball, he was getting run down with it. So 45 at the end of the day is not what you want on field, but I think he just needs to get used to the pace of the game. Again, if you can get used to the pace of the game, then that 45 gets close to a 60, I think, because a couple of times when he was almost run down, it just dribbled off the boot and was a turnover. So hopefully he can fix that up a little bit, and I'll feel a little bit better about the pick. O'Connell with the 28, as I said, was just a real late in, needed some extra coin down. They had Pryor, had Patton, needed to go someone, and had O'Sullivan from Geelong for a while, but end up going with O'Connell purely because of the money factor, and very disappointed with the 28. Can't believe he wasn't sub. They sub Hasty. So, yeah, he was on track for 70 at least, you'd say. Trainer with a 50, as I said, pretty impressed with his game. Much more impressed than Reed's game and O'Connell's game. So I'm a big fan of him. Hopefully he can give us a little bit more, though. Midfield, Lachie Neale. I couldn't believe it. First quarter, I thought, geez, surely he's must be scoring 25, 30 points for that. And I thought, what on earth has happened for him to get a 41? But legitimately, I did not count a possession for quarter 2 and quarter 3. I may have missed one in quarter 3, but I swear he just did not get near it. In the fourth quarter, had a few disposals, I think, from memory, but this was a disaster. This was a disaster of epic proportions. I thought worst case scenario, he gets an 80. And I was actually having that in my head that Lachie Neale could potentially get an 80. And that's something I'd have to live with, just like not selecting Max Gawn. You have to live with a potential 150, 180 type score if you don't select him. But a 40, nah, it's just not good enough. Not good enough. I really want to rage trade him, but I'll talk about my trades in a little while. I'm not sure if that'll be the case. Andy Brayshaw, 101. So I actually saw the lock on him. So if he was able to score 101 copying a tag, then, yeah, that's phenomenal. I did hear that Sarong had a really, really poor start and then had a bigger second half. So I'm really surprised that they decided to tag Andy. I thought that this was the perfect pick because the tag will go to Caleb Sarong. So what do they do this week? Playing Sydney. So James Jordan hopefully goes to Sarong. Fingers crossed he does. He went to Lachie last week, so that would make more sense to me. Or else even potentially Jordan Clark, who shattered I didn't select him. I was on Jordan Clark all pre-season, but you can't have more. I'd love Clark for Perryman there, but it is what it is. But Brayshaw, yeah, I'm okay with this. 101, it's not a 41, 60 more points than Lachie, so got a pretty nice fixture. Nice buy, that's all good. Clary with a 93, so I'm hoping he was just blowing out some cobwebs and he'll give us, I've pegged him to have a really nice average this year. I thought he could definitely get to at least a 110 minimum, but when I say minimum, shouldn't say minimum. I thought he could at least get to a 110 plus potentially more, but yeah, we'll have to just monitor the pick. Everyone's got him at this stage, and it's far from a disaster. So 93, I'll just take. Shearer with a 106. Did watch this game. Oh, you probably know that by now when I say I watched short and all the rest. But yeah, did fade out of the game late at halftime. This was, I think, a mid-60s type score. And we thought, hey, here we go. 120 plus is on the cards. But did slow up a little bit with a 106. But hey, for 450 odd K, I'll take that every day of the week. And another big reason why we select Adam Shearer is because of the fixture. And I suppose that is a little bit of a disappointing thing with that 106, that he was playing Richmond, and this is one of those games where we peg a really, really nice score if possible. But again, 105 plus, you cannot complain at the price. Finn O'Callaghan, so cannot believe that he didn't get at least what Shearer did. Again, I think this was a case at halftime, looking really, really good, and then slowing up a little bit. But if you look at his stat sheet, I thought that deserved a little bit more, but I'm still really, really happy with the pick. I wanted to jump on him earlier because I thought if he gets probably a 115 plus, he becomes close to a must-have, but it's not really the case. I don't think must-have at the moment. You've got Baz, who was an absolute must-have, but I don't think Callaghan is in that category. But if you compare him to, the Clarys, the Ashcrofts, the Days, and probably the Jerrers, he's the one that I like the most. So 104 off that big 140, all good. Has a bye this week, but it will allow me to not have to rely on as much rookie roulette, I suppose. Finn O'Sullivan, extremely disappointing, as I said. And I never wanted to select him. It was just a matter of not being confident on anyone else and thinking it's so much safer going up to an O'Sullivan rather than down to a Hasty or one of these types of Max Hall. And looking back on at this chat that I'm in as well, one of our regulars there, a great man, actually had some inside info on who the St Kilda sub was going to be. So I would have felt so much more comfortable going that way, but it is what it is. Just wasn't up with the news. Shout out to your legend for sharing that inside source. So appreciate you, mate. Noddy, as I said, really impressed with the 91. That is one of the rare wins that I've had. So don't really need to talk about him. I think he's close to a must-have if he goes another 80 plus this week. And quick looking at the CBAs, he got a bit of time in the middle, which was nice as well. Sardis, 50, no good. No good. And when I get to my trades, I think that one thing I'm really going to focus heavily on is Tog, time on ground, because Tog is such a big indicator, I think, and it's something that I really look past with a couple of picks. And yeah, that's on me. That's on me. But 50, just, yeah, not good. Not good for the price. Never, as I said, really impressed with him for an 82. Hewitt, well, he's meant to be a young gun. Need to look into exactly what happened here. Watch the first half of this, and it was okay, but didn't set the world on fire. I do like the fact I've got some DPP in the midfield, though. Camporelli got a heap of it early. It was just on his wing, but the efficiency was shocking, and that's not good for Supercoach. So for the price at 113, a 56, we'd much rather that than what you get from a Sardis, from a Finn O'Sullivan. So I'm not going to complain too much with Camporelli. Into the rucks, Sherry and DeConning. So DeConning, magnificent. I was really, really tempted to bring in a Bo Allen and take that VC score, but I thought, no, I don't want to try to blow up the team just for one VC score. We're going to have the buys coming in the next few weeks. I'm going to have loopholes available. So I decided not to go there, and I put the captain on Sherry, and I lost, 26 points. So you do need every point that you can get at the start of the season, but I'm not going to complain too much. I'm happy that I didn't cave in and go for that loophole just to get, those 20-odd points. But Sherry, looking at the scores at halftime, he was on 80-odd, did absolutely nothing in the third quarter, and then had a really solid last quarter. So I was hoping for a 140 plus, particularly against English. So this is unders for me, which is disappointing, but it's not a disaster type score. So I'll take that. Imagine, if you captain a Lockie Neal 41, that would be a disaster. So I'm all good with Sherry, and DeConning, really, really glad that I took the punt on him. I think lots of people did. The upside was just too great there. So really happy there. Boyd with a 63. I was actually hoping that he wouldn't be named so I could use him as a loop to get DeConning's score. But I suppose at the end of the day, we do want all of our rookies actually playing, so they're generating money. And a 63, that's all good from Boyd, particularly at 99K. Okay, this is where the real nightmare is. There's no Rankin and there's no Baz, and lots of teams in their position. Lots of teams do have Rankin and Baz, and instead of Rankin and Baz, I've got Power Pepper and Garcia. And it doesn't even combine for an 80. These two spots on field. So this is where I absolutely lost out this week. If you take out Lockie Neal and bring in even a Rankin into that spot and then chuck Nevin on field, you're not too far away from the pack. So there's a couple of things I really need to change here. But Horn Francis from 83, that's really disappointing from him. What happened here? I haven't checked out his CBA rate. So I hope he didn't spend a lot of time forward. I hope it was just a bit of a dog of a game from him, and he's still got that major CBA role. But Again, not too sure there. McRae with a 127. He's an absolute no-brainer. But the frustrating thing is that you look at this awesome score, and it's the absolute standout score, but he's one of the most highly owned players in the game. So you're not getting any sort of advantage there with a 127 from McRae. Daniel with an 81. Again, similar to McRae, everyone's got him. So it doesn't really matter what Daniel scores. We've all got him on field. It is what it is, an 81. You want more from him. Is he going to be a season-long keeper? This is only one match. I hope that he can be. But, yeah, one thing that we do need to take into account is lots of the potential DPPs that we'll have available in our forward line come, was it round 6? So it's going to be interesting. And, you know, if you haven't got a Rankin, do you actually bring him in? Are you that confident after one match? We'll discuss that in a little bit. Hugo Garcia. Now, Slimmer DeSartis, you look at the TOG here, and this can't work. The pick cannot work when his TOG is so low. And from all reports, he spent at least the last quarter playing a small forward role. So no good here. And again, if I see the team sheets and I see Zach Jones there, Hunter Clark, it's one of those things where my head wasn't in the game and I needed to look at this pick. And in hindsight, it wasn't going to work, but it is what it is. I've selected him and I need to do something about it pretty quickly. Power Pepper with an 18 on field. Like, this is disastrous. I pretty much had locked in my head that he'd go 60 to 70 each week with 75 plus a really nice little bonus there. But an 18, it's a disaster. It's a disaster, and I don't have any context to it, so I can't comment on it. And Davidson as well, 39. Look, we did mention that with that wing role, and I assume it was a wing role. I hope it was. Who knows? He could have been playing forward. If that's the case, this is a real concern. But if it was a wing role, we know that there's just times where you won't find yourself near it. We saw Camporelli really early on within the first 5 minutes of that game, I think, get 4 or 5 touches just purely because the ball was there. So I don't really know what happened with Davidson. Some good, some bad. Much more impressive in the Community Series game. And that's what I was banking on, a nice score on field. But 39, Kako with a 62, pretty impressed with him. Great job security, and just love the way that he goes about it. So super exciting for Essendon fans. And then Connor Stone just really didn't do too much. And I did actually watch a little bit of this game. I don't know how much of it I watched, but every time I saw Stone, he literally fumbled marks. Like, he could not take a mark to save himself. And they're nice intercept points that you should be getting. And, yeah, he simply wasn't getting him. So that was, super disappointing there from Stone. And then, you can't even see the flex. It is Matty Flynn. So I did go through with Matty Flynn. And an 87, that is far from a disaster. But he may have to be on the chopping block this week if I want to make some moves. So that is the team. That is the disaster that I'm running with at the moment. So what I've got to ask myself is, who are the must-trade outs out of my side, and who are the must-have trade-ins? Now, the must-trade outs, it's very, very hard after 1 week, and I hate doing it after 1 week, but it's so obvious that I need to fix up something with the forward line here. It's just, I cannot run into this week with Garcia, Power Pepper, Davidson on field. I'll get Kako on field, which would be potentially nicer, but again, who knows? He could deliver a 39.54 next week. This week. We don't really know, but I just feel a little bit more confident with Kako there, but I can't be running with those 3. I have to do something, and we know who the man I need to get in is. It's Baz. What a terrible fade it was. What a terrible fade. And what I was thinking in my own head is that someone like Baz, he can't hurt me early on. So if it's obvious that he's got a half-decent role, he's looking good, the knee isn't too much of a concern, then I'll happily trade him in after the first couple of weeks. But the fact that he just monstered this game, monstered the St Kilda Football Club, first game in the hoops, just an absolute killer for non-owners, an absolute dagger. So I need to do something. I really, really need to do something. Now, it wasn't against St Kilda. He's got St Kilda this week, who got smashed. Who was it? Freo. Sorry, it was against Freo, wasn't it? So, yeah, the fact he did that against Freo, and then he's coming up against St Kilda this week, just that's a scary proposition. So What do we do here? What do we do to get Baz? The Shees and Zorka are going to stay. Short's going to stay. Roberts is going to stay. I could potentially do something with Perryman. I can't do anything with these three blokes here. Now, Lockie Neal, the obvious move for lots of people this week, and I guess it's going to happen, particularly for the more casual type player, is that you're going to trade Lockie Neal out. I am not going to do that. The reason why I selected Lockie Neal was for this really, really nice early run. Sydney was not part of that early run, and I was prepared for a tag. I pretty much knew it was coming from Jordan, but no one can expect, I think, a 41. 70 at the worst, you might think. But I thought, look, an 80 I'm prepared for, and I'm going to live with it. 41 super disappointing. However, if you trade out Lockie Neal this week, you are locking in a loss. You are locking in a loss at 41. If you move to a Connor Rosé, for example, which is super, super tempting, then you're already down on all the Rosie owners by 80-odd points. You're locking that loss in. Keep the faith with Lockie Neal because he's coming up against West Coast this week. And I'm expecting him, the proud man that he is, to really bounce back in a big way. These are the games that we want Lockie Neal in our sides. And these are the games early on while we start him in our side. So not only am I not going to trade him out, I'm going to back him in, and he's going to be either my captain or my vice captain this week. I am super hot on Lockie Neal this week and expect a really big bounce back game. If you think that, sub 100 is going to be the norm, then get him out of your side. But I'm going to keep the faith, and I think it's a good idea to keep him in your side if you've got him. Now, the tempting side of trading Lockie Neal out is that you can make some easy structural changes straight away. Like I can get Baz in, I can fix up Perryman, and I can probably fix up Garcia to an extent as well if I decide to do that. But I'm not going to blow up Lockie Neal just yet. If he gives me anything less than a 110 this week, then he's gone for me. I'm prepared to just say, okay, I got it wrong. And even then, when you say you got it wrong, you could come out and go 140, 150, but you're locking in a pretty big cash loss at that stage. And I think financially, it's probably best for me to move him on after next week if it's less than a 110, or I might reevaluate what score he needs to get for me during the week. But Lockie Neal I'm keeping at the moment. Brayshaw I'm keeping at the moment. Clary keeping. Shearer keeping. Callahan keeping. Finn O'Sullivan, I really want to move on. Bugger you, Finn. It should be Levi. I can't believe I missed that news. Sardis, I really want to move on if I can. Nevitt, no. Hewitt, no. Camporelli, no. Keeping the rucks. Keeping the top three in the forward line. And then you've got Garcia and Pau Pepper who would like to move on. Flynn, I don't really want to. Kako, no. Stone, I'm happy enough with. So I need to get Baz in, and there's particular players I want to move on. What do we actually do? Now, the issue for me with either O'Sullivan and Sardis is that I'd love another week to make up my mind. Another week with the eye test, or, at least the first week with the eye test for someone like an O'Sullivan. But I really am keen to get an extra look, but I don't know if I can afford to. You need to make money somewhere. Perryman, I'm even keen to give another week just to see what happens, but I need context on the game. If people say, like, the role just simply wasn't there, it's not looking good, then I'm happy to move him on. So let's play around with a few things here. Garcia is the man that I cannot have him aside. Tog is way too low. So that's going to be a major concern for me moving forward, particularly with the ins that they had this week. The other concern for me Tog-wise is Sardis. And let's just say if you go a Perryman out. Now, that only leaves me with 861K. The issue is, as soon as you bring a Baz in, then I'm left with 472. And that gives me, realistically, about 350K to play with here. Even if I went a Sam DeConning, it gives me 110. Now, what I could do, and what I don't really ideally want to do, is that I could bring in a Jack Henderson. Now, he is far, far from a must-have rookie, but he's a must-have rookie if these are the trades I want to go through with, because I need someone at 99K. It only gives me 11K in the bank, but it gives me an absolute must-have in the forward line, and I need Baz on field in my forward line. It gives me a player in the back line that can absolutely do as much, well, score-wise as Perriman, plus I'm hoping a fair bit more. The issue is I don't know how much Ruck time it was. He will eventually come up with max score, and I think it might be round 4, so he could get smashed then, which then really delays that price movement in that positive direction. It could stall him for a little bit, so I'm not overly sure. And it's really hard not having any context to these games. So let's say if I cancel that move there, get out Henderson, what can I do, for example, with Finn O'Sullivan? Nothing much, really. You have to still go your Henderson. You can't even go your Xavier Lindsay. You can't do that. Here's another player that I really like. So if we were to look at a Xavier Lindsay here, you've got 95K. So it makes that extremely difficult. You can't do much. So let's just say that I look to my flex position. Now, this is super, super frustrating because I don't mind an 87 against Jared Witts from Matty Flynn. But he may be the man that I need to actually unlock a couple of trades. So if I did go Lindsay here, I've then got 158. And I suppose you could go a Corey Warner there at 148. So if I did that, then you've got Nevitt probably going... No, you can't even to that position. So I'm not wrapped with that. Levi Ashcroft, I would really like to get this week. So if I could get Levi in, that would be brilliant. But again, the issue is they've got 131 to work with. And that makes that tough. If I was to go Perryman, you could get a DeConning in. Sorry, what do I do? Swap him. Oh, I need to, select the flex. All right, so if I just cancel these, clear all the filters, I think what I really need to do is just ensure that I get Baz in this week. So that needs to be a massive priority. I think one way that I could do it, and I hate, because I don't think Henderson, future job security, I don't know what's going to happen there. It's just, it's super concerning for me. But in the two trades, I could actually get Bailey Smith in that way. So I'm losing Flynn, who I don't really want to lose, but I'm getting Garcia up to Smith, and it's only costing me 2 trades, and I'm not actually using a boost. And then if I did want to use that boost, it's tough here because I like this role a little bit more. He's more a mature body. Don't really like his junior numbers and stuff, O'Sullivan. But if I'm comparing Tog, I just think that O'Sullivan's going to get the Tog. So it would probably be Sardis, and then it would be Levi in. So I'd be able to get Smith and Ashcroft in, who I think are close to must-haves. It gets me Garcia out, low Tog. I don't think there's a future for him. It gets me Sardis out, low Tog. I don't see much of a future for him. But I have to trade out Matt Flynn, who I'm not keen on trading out. I suppose it does open up that flex position a little bit more. And it does give me 2 players that I really want in my side. I will be stuck with Perryman. I will be stuck with O'Sullivan for now. And also Power Pepper and Davidson. I just don't know what happened with Power Pepper. And knowing that they've got Richmond this week, it would be just my luck that I field him for an 18, trade him out, and then he gives me, an 85 plus. So I really need context. I really need to see the game, which I keep saying. But if I was to do that, I would be okay with that, I suppose. I really don't see another way of getting... Could I potentially maybe instead of Sardis out, so I go Perryman out, and go to Conning, Henderson. Oh, I'm just... Damn it. 4.4 down. If only I'd have gone Levi instead of O'Sullivan. Now, what I could do here, and I'm not sure about this, is that I could actually go Xavier Lindsay in the side and have 22k to play with. The issue with Lindsay, I'm pretty sure he played a wing role. Wing, it can be so hit and miss. I wouldn't be surprised. And I know Lindsay's a really talented player, but there's every chance that this week he comes out and gives a 50. And this nicest score will be the first one to drop out of the system. And we don't get as much cash as we're assuming. So I'm a little bit worried about jumping on a wing player. Because if he does go a 50, all of a sudden I'm asking myself, well, is he a real must-have? If he delivers another 70 plus, then yeah, I think he is. But I'm just not sure at the moment. So that's a little bit of a concern. If I was to go all the way down to someone like a Henderson, then it gives me 82k in the bank. So what would I prefer here? 82k in the bank to be able to make a couple of different moves. It's a really, really tough one. I'm just trying to think, is there a world where Flynn, 179? No, there's not really. I don't think. All right, for now, I think that I might go with that. I might get Flynn out. No, I think I'll go with that. So at this stage, Flynn, who I don't really want to trade out, Garcia and Sardis. Henderson, I'd much rather this be a Lindsay, but just can't afford him at this stage. And then Smith and Ashcroft, who I think are 2 must-haves. That's why I'm going to go down this road rather than Perryman to SDK, because I don't think SDK is a must-have, but I think Ashcroft and Smith are. A little bit worried about Henderson, though, but that's the way that I'm going to go. You hate using a boost early. May potentially just go back to the Garcia, Flynn, Henderson, Baz move, but I think it's probably worth just getting Levi in now. So potentially I can make another 3 trades next week. So Sheasel, Zorko, Short, Roberts, Perryman, Reed, Neil, Brayshaw, Oliver, Chera, O'Callaghan, Finn, O'Driscoll, Levi. I'm going to make this change. So O'Sullivan comes out. Never on field. Oh, we've got Finn O'Callaghan missing. All right, that doesn't change there for now. Okay, what are the matchups? So we've got Kako is playing Adelaide. Dogs are playing Collingwood. Do I have the faith in Davidson again? Well, just for now. Oh, no, do you know what? I can... With Stone out, that's what I'll do there. So Kako plays... Friday night. So I'll swap that around. So Luke Davidson, see what he scores. And then you can just use Stone for Kako. Pau Pepper, look, against Richmond, I'm going to give him another week. And then if it's no good, see you later, son. That'll all stay there. That's all good. Right. So who are we looping here? You've got O'Sullivan. He plays one of the later games. Camperelli. Yeah, but in order to use my captaincy VC, I'll have to be pretty confident on who I have as the emergency, won't I? Noddy's late. Brisbane's late. Nevitt's there. Saturday, Sunday. So I reckon I'll probably do something like that and have Nevitt as emergency there. Yep, that's probably what I'll look to do. Right, and we don't change anything there. And trainer reads so Adelaide, Port Adelaide. Do I keep the faith? He's got a big job, doesn't he, with Tex Fogarty? All right, that's probably how I'm going to roll just for now. And then Flex is Lee. Oh, no, Flex is Jack Henderson. All right, well, let's just fix Henderson. Yeah, I don't know about Jack Henderson. Let's just fix that for now. Go Nevitt to the Flex. And then we'll work out what we're going to do with loops there. We'll work that out. All right, so captain-wise for the week. Shocky. And who do we like as our vice? So TDK against Meek. No, nothing there. Nothing there for me. Did you go the horny one as your VC against Richmond? Possibly. Did you go Baslenka? You honestly could against St Kilda. You really could. Jack McRae. Okay, Sherry Gorn, no. Freo, no, don't know what's going to happen there. Do you know what? And it's purely matchup based. I may even go Horn Francis into Chocky this week. I think that's where I might go. I'm tempted to get it out of the way on the Thursday night with TDK. But I think I'm going to leave it there for now. So that's how I'm going in this week for now, guys. But again, if I get some more context to why players scored how they did, I may certainly change things around. So we've still got the Perriman to SDK move that we're potentially looking at. We've got Xavier Lindsay that we could get instead of an Ashcroft. We've got the potential to keep onto a Matt Flynn if I want to do that, which ideally I would really like to. And we could look to go somewhere else. But at the end of the day, an essential move that I feel I need to make is to go Garcia to Bailey Smith. I don't see it with Garcia now because of that TOG and the inclusions into that round one side. So there could be some other moves to make. Look, who knows? If I hear that Sam Powell-Pepper had a decent role and just wasn't up to scratch, then he may move for me. But yeah, I can't see any other moves apart from the ones that I've sort of flagged during this video. So guys, thank you very much for watching. Apologies if you followed the Lockie Neal move that I went through, but keep in mind this week he's got a really, really nice matchup and he's got the potential to go nuclear. That's what I'm hoping. If you have had a bad start like me, then don't lose faith. Keep in mind that good trading can lead you to a really nice overall rank. If you have had a really nice start, congratulations. Try to be sensible. Don't boost if you don't have to. Always keep those extra trades in the bank for later on the season. And if things are going so well, don't force any moves. it's okay to sit on your hands. I know that you've got, well, everyone has a really itchy trade finger at this stage of the season. But if you're traveling all right, there is no need. Don't force any trades. So thanks again for watching, guys. I'll see you Tuesday night for the Swordplay potty. That's if I decide to rock up. I think that all the other boys, or I hope that all the other boys have had a much better start than me. I literally haven't spoken to any of them, anyone in the Supercoach world. It was pretty much one of those days where as I said, I fell asleep last night, woke up this morning, caught the Lions Swans game, and still didn't want to look at my score. It wasn't until I actually got to school, saw my mate Jake. He said, "Mate, how'd you go?" And I said, I don't actually know. I'm sure it was a disaster. Checked, and he had a pretty disastrous round, similar to me, with Chocky and a few of these players. So, yeah, we just gave each other a bit of a pat on the back and said, "It's all right. We're going to make some nice moves this week, some big moves, and we're going to try to get back with the pack." So, all the best, guys. Take care, and I'll see you soon in the Swordplay potty. Much love. See you guys. Bye.